I envision a suit of armor around harmless phosphorescence. Hello, everybody. This is Thoreau Smiley, and I'm both fast and weird. Who's joining me this week?
Hey, I'm Josh Cece, and I take it out and look at it.
Whoa. The city is flying, and I'm doing a podcast. I'm Brian Lesh.
Al is muted.
The gates of hell are filled with my victims' whimperings of sprains, deltoids, and gout. I'm Alaric Weber.
That's why we couldn't hear you at first.
It was the gout. This is Harmless Phosphorescence. This is the podcast where we watch every theatrically released full-length live-action superhero movie ever made. We gather some research into the production and the source material, then we tell you all about it. This show is brought to you by patrons. Patrons like executive producers Michael Beckwith and executive producer Atticus Burkett. Do you want to be a patron too? You know you do. It's going to make you feel good.
You know you... Yeah. All right, borderline.
You're asking for it, baby. Just go to patreon.com.
If you like the way we're dressed.
Yeah. Yeah. It can be an OnlyFans experience if that's what you're really after, guys.
Just ask. Put it in the comments.
Yeah.
You'd like to watch me eat a bowl of cereal, you say?
Yes. Would you like to see pictures of my feet? I mean, whatever's working for you.
I want to see you feed Josh cereal with your feet. I'll pay money for that.
Yeah. And then
we've got some old VHSs, but
it was different then. It was a different time.
We were all a little more innocent back then. So go to patreon.com/harmless entertainment. Lots of bonus content. We just did our monthly movie, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Next month, we're going to be doing a Christmas movie. Head on over there. Check it out. This week, though, on Harmless Phosphorescence, we are watching The Avengers, Age of Ultron.
I was designed to save the world. People will look to the sky and see hope. I'll take that from them first. There's only one path to peace. Their extinction.
Tried to create a suit of armor around the world, but I created something terrible. Artificial intelligence. It's called the Ultron Program.
I'm sick of watching people pay for our mistakes.
Isn't why we fight so we can end the fight and go home?
Well, you amazingly failed.
We all are. With nothing but our wit and our will to save the world. So stand and fight.
No way we all get through this.
I got no plans tomorrow night.
I'm always picking up after you boys.
We can tear them apart. From the inside.
That's the best you can do!
You had to ask.
The Avengers, Age of Ultron. Hey, I disappeared there. It was released May 1st, 2015. It had a budget of $495 million.
Jesus Christ.
Wow.
And it took in $1.4 billion.
It
Um,
took in $1.4 billion.
This movie cost almost $500 million to make. Like,
How much of that went directly to Robert Downey Jr. though?
all but $7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
$7 on the effects.
Do we remember the budget on the first one?
It was over 100. I'd have
say
to look
half
it up.
of this, probably.
Yeah.
Sounds about
Now,
right.
to be fair, that $500 billion does also include the promotional budget. I always include the full gross budget for these because I think it's bullshit to not include the promotional budget when they talk about these, which they constantly do for some reason.
Well, and we've all read the articles and we're all aware that, like, other than actors' salaries, money doesn't really move. You know what I mean? Like these studios, the movies themselves don't make money; they make other movies.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, so the executives make a bunch of money from this. But otherwise, like, it's going to special effects houses, and it's going to stunt people, and then these people are working on this movie and the next movie too. And it's Hollywood. Hollywood is very, very incestuous.
So you mentioned the marketing budget for this being huge, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Can we just talk about the marketing for this movie for a minute?
Oh my God. It made it look like it was The Empire Strikes Back.
Real quick. Sorry. Budget estimated Avengers $220 million.
Okay.
So double the budget of the first movie.
Yeah.
Plus the success of the first movie. That's free marketing itself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this could have been Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think marketing. Yeah,
it
was anticipated.
The bones of the film. It could have been an Empire Strikes Back. It's just a little more flawed than The Empire Strikes Back perhaps was.
And this is pre-Disney, right? This is
no. Disney came in right before the first Avengers.
Oh, okay. So that's why we get Pinocchio. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. They had the rights to Pinocchio. So yeah, they were definitely playing with the properties that they had access to. Yeah. So
but yeah, the marketing is so dark and Ultron is scary. The idea of I'll take that from them first is a big thing.
Well, and we were talking, I mean, James Spader, his Ultron, I think losing him from the MCU was,
it was stupid.
Great. I love his take on Ultron. Whatever flaws the movie has, James Spader is fucking phenomenal in this.
Like I said in our text, there's not a line he delivers that I do not like, and I'm not exaggerating. Not one thing Ultron says that I'm like, right from the very beginning, what
and
is
this? His performance is so like off kilter and weird and menacing, and at the same time funny while being simultaneously terrifying. Like,
he's Robert California.
He's the first great villain for me.
I mean, Loki. I think Loki was pretty damn good.
Loki's great, but Loki is nebulous.
As far as
a
villain,
villain, as far as a badass stand in front of the Avengers coming.
I mean, Loki wasn't as much of a villain, but yeah, absolutely. I see what you're saying.
Well, he was a villain, but
I think Ultron had the potential to become a Thanos level villain in the MCU.
I think so.
Well, and we see in What If how easy it would have been for those of us that watched What If.
Well, and Al is going to do comic book background, but Ultron has a tendency to come back, so he may not be gone forever.
I hope not. I'd love it.
Just like your internet history. Why would Ultron go away if nothing else on the internet does?
Yeah, guys, the incognito doesn't keep the FBI from spying on you. It just keeps your wife from seeing what porn you watch.
Yeah, that's all. There are no secrets here.
So, all right. Avengers Age of Ultron released May 1st, 2015. Guys, you ready to play the box office top 10 game? This is the game where I will describe the top 10 movies of the week of May 1st, 2015, using only the box office mojo descriptions and whatever else words I feel like using, and the guys are going to try to figure out what movie it is.
You're going to be using words.
I'm going to use words and say things. All right, here we go. Jumping in, the number 10 movie of the week, The Lives of a Young Couple Intertwined. That's like every third movie in this fucking game.
It's every...
but what are their names?
Yeah, exactly. Ben and Paula.
Yeah, Ben and Paula have known each other for years.
And so have you.
Yeah,
you know
I have no idea who these actors are. I do not recognize them.
How do they become intertwined?
Well, with The Lives of a Young Couple,
genetically intermeshed,
intertwined with a much older man. As he reflects back on
intertwined like human centipede style. Like,
well, she's wearing a cowboy hat, and he's looking into her eyes. So I'm assuming
this is post-human centipede. Then
yes,
they've been surgically removed.
Wait a minute. So it's a couple-ended man.
I think the dude, he's an old man. I think it's just him telling them stories about when he was like young. I think it's wholesome. I think it's like a PG movie.
It's decent proposal.
Yes. It's called The Longest Ride. I don't know this movie at all. I've never heard of it before. It looks like it's like a country version of like I don't know, Notebook or something.
Well, if you've ever had to ride the Greyhound bus any great distance,
that's the longest ride.
You'll be stuck next to an old man. Tell you many a yarn.
This isn't a Disney tram movie.
Oh. So all right. Number 9, Maria Altman.
Maria.
An octogenarian Jewish refugee takes on the Austrian government to recover.
Is this Clive Owen? Or is this
to recover artwork she believes rightfully belongs to her family? This is not Clive Owen. Oh wow, Ryan Reynolds.
I think I remember this.
Ryan Reynolds.
It's Helen Mirren.
And Helen Mirren, yeah.
Yeah.
I had no idea Ryan Reynolds made a movie that wasn't dumb. Like ever.
Van Wilder's
Nazi Gold.
Yeah. Van Wilder does Argentina.
It's called Woman in Gold. I had never heard of this movie before.
It's pretty good, actually.
You've seen it?
Yeah.
It looks like it's probably pretty good. Just Ryan Reynolds threw me off there. Coming in at number 8, a group of online chat room friends find themselves haunted by a mysterious supernatural force using the account of their dead friend. He keeps posting, "Let's go, Brandon."
Don't open that attachment.
That'd be a good one. Yeah.
Chat room.
Basically,
your Netflix.
It's the title is like a dumb piece of like Facebook lingo from 10 years ago.
LMAO.
It's called Unfriended.
I remember
That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works.
When people die, they're not unfriended. They're dead.
They find themselves haunted.
Oh my God.
I found myself haunted.
I don't think I realized this movie existed. All right. Number 7. Are we at 7? We're at 7. When her father unexpectedly dies, a young girl finds herself at the mercy of her cruel stepmother and scheming stepsisters. Never one to give up hope, though, her fortunes begin to change after meeting a dashing stranger.
Ever After, or
no, that was like 98. But yeah, you're on the right track. Yes, it is. It is the live action remake of Cinderella.
Oh, there you go. It's just straight Cinderella.
I had no idea.
In and out. Don't touch the vault.
I had no idea they did a live action remake of this movie.
I think this is their first test to see if they could remake all the other movies.
feel like there's constantly one being made. I feel
think
like
this was
it's
the
like a
first
Jane,
one, though.
like there's always a Jane Austen movie being made.
101 Dalmatians. That
Yeah.
one
Oh yeah.
from
I
like the
remember that
fucking
one.
90s. Number 6. Oh, this movie is so good. A young programmer is selected to participate in a groundbreaking experiment in synthetic intelligence by evaluating the human qualities of a highly advanced humanoid AI.
Her.
No.
No.
She.
No.
They them.
Us?
This stars Oscar Isaac,
Oh man.
Tom
Deuce
Hawkinson?
Machina.
Ex Machina. Yeah.
Ex
really
Machina,
good movie.
That's right.
Really good
Uh,
movie.
That dance sequence, man.
Oh man.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. I really like that movie. That was the first. Oh my God. Yeah, that was the first thing I ever saw him in. This was out before. Yeah, this was out just before.
Llewyn Davis.
Llewyn Davis, yeah.
Oh no, I would have seen that too. I forgot about that. I was gonna say this was out just before, like a few months before episode 7. So number 5, right? Number 5, yeah, number 5. An alien on the run from his own people makes friends with a girl. He tries to help her on her quest, but can be an interference. This is animated. It's a DreamWorks movie, and there appears to be a sassy cat who's the alien's foil.
Sounded like E.T. until you mentioned the cat.
Well, it's animated. And the alien appears to be purple. If that tells you anything. It's called
People Eater.
It's called Home. I'm pretty sure I saw this because Jude was at the age where I was watching all of those kind of movies, but I don't remember it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Seth Rogen might have been the alien. I can't remember. Number 4. After 6 years of keeping our shopping spaces safe, our hero has earned a well-deserved vacation. He heads to Las Vegas with his teenage daughter before she heads off to college. But safety never takes a holiday, and when duty calls, he answers.
Paul Blart 2.
Yes. That's it.
Are you serious?
Yep.
I thought it was. I was going to guess one of the Taken series or so, which I've seen all of them. I guess there's no Las Vegas. Really?
But he said shopping spaces, keeping our shopping spaces safe. That was the
right.
dead gift.
And I thought of Paul Blart, but then I was like,
nope. Paul Blart 2. He goes to Vegas and his daughter gets taken or something. I don't know.
Wait, yeah. So is Liam Neeson a security guard in Taken movies? He works at like a Piggly Wiggly or something.
You're done. We're done with you for now.
Yes.
Kevin James, what a fucking
yeah. Number 3. Deckard seeks revenge against Dominic and his family.
Dominic.
Apparently, those names should give people a hint if they've watched.
Yeah, it should be Blade Runner, but who's another Deckard?
Let's see.
Apparently, there are many people who would know, actually. This is the 7th movie in a series.
Okay.
Is it a fast series?
It is, yes, but this...
Might it be Furious?
Yes, Furious.
7?
Furious 7 is the name of this movie, yes.
The Puppet Master versus dolls.
The worst naming conventions ever.
Yeah. Is it fast? Is it furious?
I don't know.
It's both.
It's 7 though.
It's a little of both.
I'm a little country. I'm a little rock and roll.
I was fast. She was furious.
You got your chocolate and my peanut butter.
Number 2, a young woman. How did this beat Furious 7? A young woman born at the turn of the 20th century is rendered ageless after an accident. What kind of accident?
Is that an act? She's like, I fell into a vat of time.
After many solitary years, she meets a man who complicates the eternal life she has settled into. But let's see, we got Blake Lively, and I don't know, a bunch of other names.
I'm gonna guess Tale as Old as Time.
No, it's actually it's a very specific title. Actually, it has her name in it.
William.
Jessica's timey-wimey adventure.
It's called
Brittany.
The Age of Adeline.
Oh.
This is the number 2 movie that week?
Yeah, number 2, right after our number 1. When Tony and Bruce try to jumpstart a dormant peacekeeping program, things go terribly wrong.
I know their names and it sounded weird. Tony and Bruce. When Tony and Bruce, like, those guys.
Did you change their names for this throw?
Yeah, I looked the last names.
Oh, so they went by their normal names, not their
Veronica.
superhero names? It wasn't when Iron Man and the Incredible Hulk?
No. The actual description on Box Office Mojo is when Tony Stark and Bruce Banner try to jumpstart a dormant peacekeeping program called Ultron, things go horribly wrong. And it's up to Earth's mightiest heroes to stop the antics, I did that, of villainous Ultron.
Yep.
Yep. Obviously, it was number 1 at the box office for this week. It was a big movie, kind of big, and it was based on some comic books. Al, would you care to tell us and the listeners everything that we could ever possibly need to know about all of the characters in this movie and where they came from, where they're going? What did they know, Cotton Eye Joe?
Their hopes and dreams.
Nah.
All right. Bye, everybody. We'll see you next week.
T9.
Okay. We will start with the Maximoff Twins.
Ah, yes.
Pietro and Wanda. Pietro Maximoff, a.k.a. Quicksilver. Wanda Maximoff, a.k.a. Scarlet Witch. We'll talk about...
A.k.a. Slow Silver.
We'll talk about them somewhat simultaneously because they're twins. That's what you do with twins.
Oh yeah, Al, you're a twin. So are you the Quicksilver to Claire's Wanda?
Are you weird?
Yep, that's Al.
Are you fast? Which one of you is fast and which one of you is weird?
I think I'm the weird one.
No, you're the fast one by far.
Wait, Al's the fast one?
Yeah,
Let's get your twin on the phone, Al.
All right. So both characters were creations of Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. First appearing in the X-Men number 4, dated March of 1964. The twins are first seen as reluctant members of Magneto's Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, only desiring safety from human persecution and not really interested in Magneto's plans of global domination.
Posers.
So it's similar in this.
So Wanda was saved by Magneto from an angry mob. Yes, an angry mob.
Rarely it's a happy mob that kills you.
Those are flash mobs.
Too bad. Flash mob. He was killed in a flash mob. Right.
After she accidentally caused a house to burst into flame, Pietro comes along to protect his sister.
I once accidentally caused a house to burst into flame, but I didn't do it with my mind.
Good for you.
I did it by falling asleep.
An aerosol can.
The old-fashioned way.
Yeah,
with a cigarette on the couch.
Yeah, I didn't become a superhero though. At least not according to my mom.
Originally, they are depicted as mutants, Pietro having super speed and Wanda the ability to control probability. After several confrontations with the X-Men and Magneto's abduction by the cosmic entity known as the Stranger, The twins reform themselves and are recruited by Iron Man into the second-generation Avengers team, which would consist of only them, Captain America, and the other new member, Hawkeye.
Ah.
So yeah, this was just over a year after their comics introduction. They became Avengers regulars in the Avengers number 16 in May of 1965.
Awesome.
The characters would go through many changes over the years, both in their power sets and their personal histories. In 1974, Wanda's powers expanded when she learned witchcraft from Agatha Harkness.
It was Agatha all along.
She went goth in high school.
Their family history. During the 60s, they are said to be the mutant offspring of human Romani parents, Django and Maria Maximoff. Sometime later, it is said that they were adopted, given to the Maximoffs by the geneticist known as the High Evolutionary.
Mm-hmm.
In 1974, it is said that they are the children of Bob and Madeline Joyce Frank, Golden Age heroes Whizzer and Miss America.
Yeah,
The Whizzer.
I remember Whizzer.
Classic. He's fast, right?
Yeah.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
Or does he
And-
just pee everywhere?
Well,
That's how he gets around so fast. He is
Little bit of
propelled
both.
by urine.
we all be. He does not.
In 1982, Magneto concludes that he is the father of the twins.
No, Maury does. Magneto goes on Maury.
The results of the paternity test are in.
Magneto, you are the father.
Magneto just shoots Maury across the room. But the chairs.
He starts running around the audience.
Magneto's
Running for his life. Sorry, Al, you've got business.
Magneto's parentage of the twins would be canon until disproven in 2014.
Oh, that's
That's in the Scarlet
That
Witch
was a
solo comic. That is an incredible comic run.
So he's not their father?
No,
Or
Not anymore.
nope. And he never was.
you
He
know
never
what?
was.
Maybe he wasn't,
Who
but
the
it's
hell's the
more
man?
than genetics to be a dad.
It's true.
He raised
In,
Fair
two-
enough.
in 2015, the twins discovered that they are not actually mutants, and their superhuman traits are the result of experiments by the High Evolutionary.
It just keeps getting deeper and deeper.
It
They
is
keep
subsequent.
going back to the 60s.
Yeah.
It seems like.
It is subsequently revealed that adopted parents Django and Maria Maximoff are biologically their aunt and uncle, and their real mother is Natalia Maximoff, the previous Scarlet Witch, a sorceress whose father was the Scarlet Warlock.
And that's what they're sticking with, or that's where we're at.
I think that's where we're at. Yeah.
All right.
Wanda figures this out traveling into her own subconscious and through this like Scarlet Witchy thing. It's a really cool, visually, it is one of the coolest Scarlet Witch things I've ever seen. The whole comic is her traveling the witch's road with the ghost of Agatha Harkness like guiding her along. It's fun.
So kind of similar to that WandaVision episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They drew on that origin to get to where they
Yes.
were. Yeah.
And they're going to explore it further. Yeah.
Maybe a little bit more on her later, but let's talk about Ultron.
Yes.
First appearing unnamed in the Avengers number 54, July of 1968. Returned with a name the following month. The character was created by Roy Thomas and John Buscema.
Do we have an origin for his name? Or their name? Ultron's a robot. I don't know.
I briefly read over something. There was a trend going on with names with the suffix Tron. And I think there was a previous set of characters somewhere called the Ultries or something. They just like the way it sounded.
Cool.
Okay. I mean, I could see it like if you're naming things like Tron to be like a robot, like Robbie Tron, this, that, and he's ultimate robot, Ultron.
He's the ultimate Ronald.
No.
Ultron.
Ronald. Yes.
So Ultron, the robot, was created by Hank Pym, basing the robot's programming on his own brain patterns. Ultron gradually developed its own intelligence and a robot Oedipus complex.
Well, and Hank Pym is famously angry and abusive and has like a inferiority complex while being way too smart for his own good. So building a robot with that as its baseline is prone to cause problems.
He kind of hates himself and the world.
And his father. We get a lot of like, father.
Ultron develops a robot Oedipus complex, feeling an irrational hatred of Pym and a romantic inclination to Janet Van Dyne.
Janet.
Well, and protecting Janet from Hank, who beats his wife.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, casting Michael Douglas's Hank Pym was kind of perfect.
Well, and in Endgame, you sort of see that Hank Pym because younger Michael Douglas, he's a total asshole. Like the person's just calling down to his lab to tell him something. He's just a total fucking dick about it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Ultron brainwashes Pym into forgetting the robot ever existed and created the synthezoid Vision as a weapon to destroy the Avengers.
Hey. That dovetails nicely.
Ultron is notable as being the first character in Marvel Comics to wield the fictional metal alloy adamantium.
Wow. Nice.
Ultron's stories often ended in Ultron's apparent destruction, only for the character to be resurrected in new forms. And
then they'd haul ass to Lollapalooza.
I think there were at least 18.
Wow.
Possibly more.
Yeah.
And they were conveniently numbered.
The first one the one that I really remember was in Secret Wars, the first Secret Wars that were in the 80s, like 84 or something. That was the first time I remember Ultron and like noticing him as a villain.
Cool.
Am I at an AA meeting? Jesus Christ.
Thanks for sharing.
Thanks for sharing.
Yes, thank you all. I'm Josh.
Hopefully we see you next week.
We've got some bad coffee and a lot of cigarettes.
Ultron would develop a god complex with the goal to destroy humanity. This goal was seen to near completion in the 2013 Age of Ultron crossover storyline that served as inspiration for our movie.
Yeah.
That is a crazy, crazy trek through the entire Marvel universe.
It really is.
I wish I knew more about it. Wish I'd read it. But in an alternate reality, Ultron has defeated most of Earth. Wolverine travels back in time, followed by Susan Storm, to kill Hank Pym before he creates Ultron.
I bet the library has it. I'm gonna look.
Probably. Doing so results in a worse reality where magic overcomes science and Morgan Le Fay rules the Earth.
Yes. The witch.
And then they have to go back again, and they don't kill. They have to get one Wolverine has to stop the other Wolverine from killing Hank, but then they rig a thing into Ultron to some programming that'll activate after all these events have happened. And
Sue Storm has to convince Hank Pym, the famously misogynistic wife beater, that he should create Ultron and integrate the self-destruct device into it. It's a really kind of convoluted thing, but it explores explicitly Hank's misogyny in a weird way where he's like, why would I trust you? You're a dame. Like
an invisible dame.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think she like goes inside his nose and is like, "I'll blow your head up."
No, she goes inside. I'll blow your pee hole up.
Joke's on you. I'm into that shit.
I'm just glad I heard pee hole today.
The Vision.
I love the Vision.
This character was created, same creators as Ultron, by Roy Thomas and John Buscema. First appeared in the Avengers number 57, cover date October of 1968. Loosely based on a Timely Comics character of the same name created by Joe Simon and Jack Kirby, first seen in November of 1940.
Mm-hmm.
The Vision was created by Ultron from a copy of the original Human Torch. Ultron added new technology and programming to the android with human brainwave patterns. This aspect of Vision's origin was not revealed until 1975. Up until that point, they just said Ultron just made him. But it was Roy Thomas, the writer. He came up with that idea before he left the run of Ultron, and then they continued with his idea on that with the Human Torch aspect.
That's cool. And
with
to
his
go all the
blessing.
way back.
The new synthezoid Vision was driven by logic but possessed emotions and was able to achieve emotional growth.
That's what people do.
Yeah. While Ultron created Vision to destroy his creator, Hank Pym, and the Avengers, Vision would turn on his own creator and join the Avengers, aiding in Ultron's defeat. The Vision's abilities would grow to include superhuman intelligence, senses, strength, and speed, density control, which includes intangibility and invulnerability, flight, regeneration, and technopathy. That old chestnut.
So what level of intellect did he have?
I would say he has a genius level of intellect. My whistle's in the other room.
My whistle's in the other room.
The Hal Weber story.
It's like a Karnak thing. Something I'd say.
When Scarlet Witch rejoined the Avengers in 1970, Vision and Wanda became mutual love interests. Hawkeye was into her too. But Hawkeye realized that their love was pure and backed off.
He's like, plus that chick's kind of scary, man.
He's all, I don't know, she makes me quiver.
Oh.
Dunk.
Wanda and Vision would marry in Giant Size Avengers number 4, June of 1975. And the 80s would see 2 limited series called The Vision and the Scarlet Witch, in which the couple moved into a house in Leonia, New Jersey, hoping to strengthen their marriage by experiencing a life outside the Avengers. It was in the second series that Wanda would become magically pregnant and birth twin boys Thomas and William.
I hate it when they get magically pregnant.
Well, you said that earlier about Christmas movies. Wasn't she magically pregnant? Sorry.
Oh, jeez.
Or was
You're
that
talking about
magically
Jesus.
delicious? I think it was magically delicious.
Yeah, I was talking about Jesus. It's all about him all the way up.
Oh, yes. A couple of other characters. Briefly, we saw Laura Barton. I didn't have a first appearance date on her, but she was the wife of Clint Barton in the Ultimate Marvel reality.
And so he is married at some point.
Yeah. Yes. And Friday.
Yes.
First appears in Iron Man Volume 3, number 53, June of 2002, created by Mark Grell and Michael Ryan. Unwilling to hire another secretary, Tony Stark created an artificial one, an AI holographic young girl named Friday, acronym for Female Replacement Intelligent Digital Assistant Youth.
Freaking robots taking our jobs.
His sex bot.
Oh.
Strucker was a real character.
I forgot whether we talked about him before, so
Fair enough. Yeah, there can't be much to say.
Back burnered him.
Hydra.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Al, for that
Thank you.
trip down comic book lane. That brings us to the production of the film itself. This is the follow-up to the 2012 Avengers. It was written and directed by Joss Whedon, who we have discussed previously. I won't go into him anymore. It stars all of our Avengers are back. Robert Downey Jr., Chris Hemsworth, Mark Ruffalo, Chris Evans, Scarlett Johansson, Jeremy Renner, Don Cheadle is back as War Machine. We've got coming in for the first time, Aaron Taylor Johnson is Pietro Maximoff. We talked about him in our Kick-Ass episode.
Kick-Ass, yeah.
Elizabeth Olsen, the third Olsen twin, as Wanda Maximoff.
The third Olsen twin. The Lone Rangers.
Yes, the third Olsen twin. She didn't start acting until 2011.
Which is about the same time the other two stopped?
Yeah, roughly.
Has anybody seen all three of them together at the same time?
So she is just
they merged into her.
Yeah.
She actually ate the other two in utero.
Well, so it's funny because they're
when they were 30.
The older Olsen twins are about the same age as I am. And it's interesting because I think of Elizabeth Olsen as being older than them.
Yeah.
Because she didn't do child acting, really. You know, she was a grown woman when she started acting. And I grew up with them being my age. So they are perpetually the same age. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. I always think of them as still being like teenagers, like still being young, even though they're in their 30s.
Yeah.
I thought they were cryogenically frozen.
Yeah. They keep them in a bunker under Vegas. So her first movie was the 2011 thriller Martha Marcy May Marlene. She was in the 2014 Godzilla. She was in the Old Boy remake.
She was married to Aaron Taylor Johnson's character in the Godzilla movie, which is interesting.
Right.
They've been in 3 movies together besides, well, including Ultron.
Huh.
There's another one, I think, that they are either married or brother and sister also. I forget.
Huh.
Yeah, so this came pretty early in her acting career.
Yeah, it was the first time I saw her act.
It was definitely the first time I took any notice of her at all.
I'd seen her eat before, but I'd never seen her.
So, all right. Yeah. Then, of course, we have, let's see. Paul Bettany is back as Vision. We talked about him previously for his Jarvis work. He is Jarvis and Vision in this, of course. Kobe Smulders is back as Maria Hill. Anthony Mackie as Sam Wilson. Haley Atwell, Idris Elba, Stellan Skarsgård, all back. And then we've got James Spader as Ultron. James Spader, of course, came up as part of the 80s Brat Pack.
Yep.
All of those early, let's see, he was in Endless Love. That was his first big starring role. Pretty in Pink, Mannequin, Baby Boom, Less Than Zero.
Less Than Zero was
all
big.
of his like 80s stuff.
Yeah. I think of him in Stargate.
Oh yeah. Stargate, Sex, Lies, and Videotape. He was in Bad Influence. That's a crazy movie.
Yeah, it is.
Bob Roberts, and of course he is he's probably known to those those younger viewers best as Robert California from The
Office.
Yeah. So James Spader, a long and lustrous career.
Well, and he's on like season 14 of The Blacklist.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
Yeah, he's on that.
Yeah.
He's like an art thief, spy, CIA double agent. I don't know. I watched 2 episodes and was lost already.
Sam.
Same here. I didn't get it very far.
I was like,
wanted to like it because I love.
He sounds great and he's dressed cool, but what is happening?
Right.
Who are all these young people?
What's going on here?
We've got Sam Jackson back as Nick Fury and Linda Cardellini as Laura Barton. Linda Cardellini, I first know her from Freaks and Geeks. That was one of her earlier roles for sure.
Yeah. And then Velma.
Yeah, I would say Scooby-Doo.
She was Velma and Scooby-Doo. Yep, absolutely. Let's see. She was in Bloodline. She was in ER. The Dead to Me. She's been in recently.
That's really good.
Yeah, I like that series a lot with Christina Applegate. Linda Cardellini coming in as the doting Barton wife. That pretty much rounds out the production. There's not a lot going on. So originally,
I have verification on the Olsen twins.
Are they safe?
Yeah, where have they been frozen now?
They are in fact 2 people.
I'm not exactly sure, but
what?
No, hang on. Mary Kate, her last acting credit was in 2011. Ashley Olsen, her last acting credit was in 2010, but she just started doing a podcast, amongst others, called Mostly Headlines, I think it was called, in 2021, talking about, it was like a news podcast.
So as a fellow podcaster, Ashley, if you would like to ever come on and guest on our show, you are invited.
Welcome to the game.
It would be an honor.
All 3 of the Olsen twins are invited anytime.
Also, Ja Rule. We're going to talk about the news.
Yeah, we'd be glad to discuss It Takes Two or any of the other Christmas movies you made, or just what have you.
Or how you became some of the first billionaires as children.
That's right.
So they did in fact stop acting at the same time that Elizabeth started.
Were they ever acting? It seemed like they were just an open book the whole time.
Yeah.
Well, they had a whole series of movies. Then they had a clothing line, of course, and probably makeup line and all kinds of They were from an entrepreneurial point of view, some of the earliest billionaires, self-made billionaires.
All I've got to say is, way to go, dude.
Oh my God!
Don't worry, be happy.
You got it, dude.
You got it, dude. Oh, that
That's
took
not
me
going to
back.
come on.
That's about all I got. So a couple minor notes on the production. Originally Captain Marvel was going to make her premiere in this.
That would have been cool.
They actually shot some background plates for her, which they reused for some of the Wanda shots. But they decided that was a little too much to introduce into a movie that was already this jam-packed.
Yeah, she was supposed to be in the lineup at the end. Her and Black Panther, supposedly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Starting to get that would have been too crowded.
Yeah,
that would have
been confusing. It would have been like, wait, who are those people?
Wait,
right?
who?
Marvel and Panther.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So this movie has 76% on Rotten Tomatoes, so it is fresh.
Just one production thing. We didn't get into Pietro being split between 2 houses. There are 2 Quicksilvers.
There are, yes, and we did.
So we talked about the mutant Quicksilver already. Mm-hmm. That is owned
played
by Fox.
Evan Peters.
Yeah, played by Evan Peters. But in this one, he's not a mutant. And the agreement, at least as far as I understand it, was that they would get one movie with him in trade for Fox not using Wanda.
Oh, interesting.
So they had got permission to use him and kill him so they could then have the twins split between two universes.
Well,
that makes a lot more sense.
I wasn't aware until Al told us, but yeah, there have been different iterations as to what their origin was, who their parents were.
But yeah, as far as I know, it wasn't like a big. There wasn't a bunch of money that traded hands or anything. I understood it to be a gentleman's agreement, basically, between Kevin Feige and like Fox, deal. Being like, look, I can do whatever I want, but let's make this easy on each other. You can have the fast guy, and we'll take the witch. Which is interesting because they've done so much with her character over time, and developed her throughout movies.
Yeah, they have. She's come a long way since this one. But we do get to see sparks of what she is to become in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean,
powerful.
If you compare it to the Evan Peters Quicksilver, they have not developed him really. Well, and now that's all over. It's game over for that whole universe. But it's interesting to see the trajectory of these two characters compared, across universes.
Well, I mean, let's face it, Wanda's a way more interesting character than Fast Guy.
Oh, yeah.
But
he looks good on film, though.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I do have to say, I liked the X Universe's way of showing his speed better than this, but he actually got some moments to shine a little more in that, whereas in this, there's so much going on that, Fast Guy gets a little left behind.
He only gets a few lines, really.
Yeah. Yep, that's about all we got on the backside of this, guys. You ready to jump into the movie?
Let's do it. Actually, this feels weird.
Yeah. I'm in a loop.
Time for a lullaby.
Here we go. This is Avengers Age of Ultron. We open on Loki's scepter. The Avengers are raiding Baron Strucker's castle. I kept wanting to call him Smuckers. I mean, like with a name like Baron Smuckers, it's got to be good.
It's got to be evil.
Yeah.
And it's, the tired old sort of like Dirty Dozen, Great Escape type. I don't know.
Well, yeah, like we open in media res. They're in the middle of the battle.
On the motorcycle, jumping motorcycles. Yeah. I don't know. Seemed pretty standard.
Jumping Hulks.
Yeah.
And I think this was to establish that they were functioning as a team. They had been functioning as a team since the last time we saw them.
So much so that it was, for lack of a better word, rote or something. I don't know.
They were very casual. They're all having conversations throughout.
This is
moving forward like a football, like a line.
Yeah. What's interesting is this is the one and only scene we get of the original Avengers team just doing a regular Avengers adventure that's not the end of the world or them breaking up.
Right. It's just a mission.
One and only scene in the entire MCU.
Well, and I think this did a good job of implying that they're busy when we don't see them on film. It's like Star Wars, where you pick up at a point in the adventure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Instead of them like, oh, we got to get the band back together every time the movies happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we eventually see.
I'm really glad. I'm really, really glad that we didn't have to sit through them getting the band back together. That would have been too much in a movie that was already 2.5 hours long.
Yeah. It's kind of like X2 or Spider-Man 2, where we just get dropped right into the story. It's like, oh, here's where we left off.
Yeah.
Yeah, you missed some stuff, but
moving forward.
Yeah.
We'll get to the story in a few minutes.
Mm-hmm. So, they raid Baron Strucker's castle. He's been experimenting on humans with Loki's scepter. They meet two of the Baron's subjects, the Maximoff Twins. They capture Strucker and the scepter, but Wanda puts a vision of everyone's death in Tony's head. That's where the entire movie stems from.
And this is the first hint of things to come universe-wise, too.
It's the prelude.
Yeah.
Well,
and
and
I don't know how much they knew at the time, right?
and where
Feige knew.
Yeah, Feige definitely
He knew that it would culminate in Thanos and the battle
Okay.
before the gauntlet and stuff. They weren't sure of how and what they were going to do to get there, but that
Right.
was the end game, the culmination of all these movies.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and where he sees them all is in Sanctuary, which is Thanos' place.
Yes.
Floating. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Then we get
I was going to say before we get to the title sequence, the dialogue in this opening scene of them so casual with each other is the most painful shit ever. At long last is getting a little too long, boys. Like,
it's so all right. I'm a big fan of Joss Whedon's like dialogue work specifically in general. This is usually yes. There's a lot of stuff I like, but when he's given free reign and his worst instincts, it can really be over the top.
Or if he's bored. I mean, I'm not speaking for him.
Yeah,
but that's what I meant about the contrive, which is there's a positive. That's what you were talking about. We get dropped in the story. We don't have to be introduced, but it was also kind of he's bored. Have Cap throw a motorcycle.
Yeah.
Have the Hulk run through some cement.
And
the banter also reflected that sort of
the banter as part of the action. Shit, language, and Cap responding as he throws a motorcycle. It just slipped out. Like,
Joss Whedon used to write for the Golden Girls. It's like we know he's funnier than that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Cap's all full of Stark.
There's some Buffy stuff that's some of my favorite dialogue ever of any media whatsoever. But this is not Whedon at his best. Not by far.
Every single character feels like they are written as a Captain America stage actor. Like they're all in a Captain America play from 1945.
Rogers the musical.
Yeah. Like, that's
interesting.
Yeah. I can see it. I mean, it's not his best work.
But it's the first time we get the lullaby.
Yeah.
The way that's written, it's this poetic, flowy, hey, big guy, the sun's getting real low.
Well, in that King Kong, Fay Ray kind of situation.
Okay, so but that brings us to the part of the film that I think is the single worst thing in the movie, which is the Bruce Natasha relationship.
And I'm one to I love me a romance in a movie kind of thing. There was a way to thread this needle and not overdo it, and they absolutely overdid it because he does not write women well anymore. I say anymore because you guys love Buffy, but
I mean, even then,
no agency.
Yeah. Even then, I think a lot of his fellow writers, he hired a lot of women writers onto Buffy, and I think they may have helped him quite a bit at the time. A lot of, like Jane Espenson and Marty Noxon, all of those, I think were very helpful in writing Buffy as a tale of female empowerment. But I don't know.
And human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is bad, and this in a lot of ways, the only way I can retcon this in my head for it not to feel extremely gross and icky is that she's working him. He's a job. Handling Bruce is a job, and she's playing the role as the spy, as the agent.
They're the two available people.
You mean like the handler?
Yeah, like a handler.
Yeah, well, and that's her introduction, and she asks Fury about it at the end of the movie. But I feel like they're work husband and wife over time. They live together. They're roommates, basically. And they have been getting closer. And we're in that moment where they're like, oh, are we more than work husband and wife? Like, I don't have any commitments. You don't have any commitments.
Oh, no, they make it seem like she is deeply in love with him.
They do.
Yeah.
And it was unnecessary, and then it was abandoned.
Well, and it came out of nowhere. This wasn't set up in anything
There's
previously.
one moment I noticed in the future where and it's the Russos at this point, but it's in Endgame when they first meet Smart Hulk, or Integrated Hulk.
Mhm.
She's not saying much, but she's sitting at the diner. They're all at a booth, and she's just looking at him and reacting, just like, first of all, weirded out that they're blended, and she's no longer, because she's afraid of the green.
Yeah.
He scared her in the first one for sure, and then that he had been gone for so long, and that they didn't really get back together, and now he's the best of both worlds. But I don't know, if you watch Black Widow in that scene, she's really reacting to it, but other than that, they never.
Well, yeah.
And
They
in
off this
Infinity War,
relationship.
when he returns, you see they have a brief moment where he says like, "Hey, Nat," and
Right.
they don't ever clear the air, is what I assumed that is. It's like he
Same
never
here.
comes back and says like, "Hey, I'm really sorry that I left," but like
Yeah.
the Hulk left and I was a prisoner for 5 years on another planet. I don't
Yeah.
think we ever get that moment. I don't think after Endgame they spend any time together. I think that he goes off and fixes himself, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I mean, it also came out of nowhere, because the last time we saw Nat flirting with somebody, it was with Steve Rogers
Right.
in Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Which, to your question of was he working or was she working him? I think in that movie
He
she was
flirting with
absolute.
Tony when they
She
met.
she was working Steve.
Working
She was
Tony.
working Tony. I think this is the first time, at least they're intending that like she's human, and she's like in close quarters with the one human being that's not taken. Whatever.
So
I can get that, but we get way beyond the interest in another human being who is complex.
it's also bad that our one woman main character has to become the love mule.
Yeah. It's not. Yeah. It's not enough. She's carrying all the female weight.
Well, and
power.
and
I'm the
sh-
chick.
she has up to this point, like you mentioned, Tony and Steve.
Mhm.
She's been. This is going to sound awful, but she has literally been passed around from Avenger to Avenger and landed on Bruce Banner,
Right.
who was the last option.
Right, because
which sucks.
She's the only girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got a real Smurfette thing going on.
Yeah, and so I mean, I'm really glad that the more recent Avengers lineups have a lot more
Yeah.
characters, because oh my god.
Well,
and her movie was good.
Yeah,
her movie was
and
great.
there's no romance in it, and yeah,
Right.
which is
I
fantastic.
love that. Yes.
I my big takeaway on the Hulk Black Widow love story in this, the worst part of the whole thing for me is when he says to her, "We can't have this. I'm a monster," and she goes, "I'm a monster too. I can't have children."
Oh my god, that is
shit,
disgusting.
it is way, way beyond anything that they ever needed to write for her. She could have said, "Look, man, I can't have kids, and that's not what I want. I like Bruce Banner. You're
Right.
funny, and I enjoy working with you." Like the moment that she says it, and they're like right after the like, "Oh, I missed my window to have a shower with you." I'm like, we are playing up this
that was
weird,
weird.
intimate moment with now she's a monster because she can't have a baby because a woman's sole purpose is to recreate.
I thought she was.
Procreate? Like what?
I thought she was saying I'm a monster because I killed a bunch of people. But
Well, I think that's the intention, but that's not how the
it
line
was-
comes off.
yeah, totally.
Yeah. Well, because the subtext is Banner saying, "I can't have this life. This is great. I can't have this. Just physically, you get me too excited, and I will explode you." Like, there's a lot of
Right.
sexual subtext between the two of them that is unnecessary for a children's movie, which all culminates with Tony's one line that I will forever hate in this movie.
Is it
Natasha,
When we
where
get
are
there?
you? You
Oh.
and Banner better not be playing hide the fucking zucchini.
Oh yeah.
That's
terrible.
gross.
Joss Whedon should have gotten fired from his fucking job for that alone.
That's
Like,
what I mean. That's some
somebody
lazy
should have
shit.
said like, "Yo, this is for children, and if you try that shit again, you're never gonna
Well,
make a children's movie ever again."
that's bad. And Tony's prima nocta line?
Yeah, that
also
one,
that.
that
What
one
the
always
fuck,
made
Tony?
me cringe.
Well, and the
That's-
second
that's
time we
always
see
made me
Bruce
cringe.
Banner land in Natasha's open cleavage,
Yeah.
This is the second
His
time in the
face
MCU.
falls in her
Yeah.
boobs. This isn't fucking Porky's.
Yeah.
Right.
Come on.
Yeah.
Uh,
There are a lot of those moments.
Yeah.
That's awful.
Anyways, sorry, I could beat this single horse to death throughout this entire movie, and I'll probably keep circling back to it.
Well, it's the most problematic thing.
Well, and I'd like to point out that we've got Scarlet Witch, Maria Hill, Ellen Cho, and Black Widow in this movie, and not a single one of them talk to each other once.
Yep.
It's true.
No Bechdel test. No passing the Bechdel test.
The only time that two women talk to each other, it is Hawkeye's wife and Black Widow talking about her unborn child.
That's right. Okay.
Which maybe counts, but also
Maybe.
his name
Maybe
is
counts.
I
his
forgot about
name
Linda
is not
Cardellini.
Natasha. It's Nathaniel. So are they talking about a man? Does it even pass?
I mean, they are because they are
Well,
talking about a man, but it's not a
yeah,
romantic
because-
interest. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nat makes a comment about how she doesn't like that name, and I think she talks about Clint.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. So we get the title card.
Here's
The
the
Aven-
movie.
Yeah. The Avengers are flying home. Black Widow and Bruce flirt. We discovered that when they get home, they're going to have a party to celebrate their victory. Tony's going to study the scepter before Thor takes it back to Asgard.
Sorry, I forgot. I didn't get a chance to watch this a second time, so I don't have a ton of notes. So I'm just staring at this Post-it that I have. There was one
Get milk.
There was one great, I guess it felt like a Joss Whedon moment when Iron Man bursts in and he says, "Come on, boys, let's talk." All the soldiers.
Yes.
And he says, "Let's talk it out," and then he like blasts them with the little concussion bullets.
Yeah.
And he says, "That was a good talk." And you hear one guy just like, "No, it wasn't."
No. It was like, yes, totally.
That's a good
Like,
Joss Whedon
It
moment.
was like his joke in the first one with that Galga.
Yeah.
That guy's playing Galga.
Another moment that I thought was a good Joss Whedon moment was I don't know if you were going to say it, Brian, but was no
Tony?
surrender. Okay, so
Oh.
I'm going to surrender.
The other one that I noticed, and these are all great moments. Please be a secret door. Please be a secret door. Please be a secret door. Yay!
Yeah.
Well executed and funny. Yeah.
Fun little bits.
There are good little moments, like the whole like during the Hulkbuster scene where he's like, "I'm sorry,
Yeah.
sorry, I'm sorry."
Go to sleep. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. Go to sleep.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I don't feel like we're talking about whether or not he can make a movie.
Because
He-
clearly
he
the
needs
man,
It's fair to
editor.
point out where he's being lazy and where he's
Yeah.
being a dick, which is
He
what
needs-
will do. But he makes a picture.
He needs 5 women to sit in front of his movies and go, no, not this. No,
Yeah,
not this. No, not this. Because if I can notice it as like a 35-year-old straight white man, yeah.
Well, if it makes you uncomfortable, his zucchini joke. Yeah, exactly.
that's great.
I don't have kids, but I wouldn't want a kid to hear that shit. Even if they
No.
don't get it,
I
they're
don't
going to
want-
figure it out eventually and be
I
like,
don't
oh my
want my
God, I saw
kids
that when I was
thinking-
9.
I don't want kids thinking about Hulk's dick. Like I just
There
don't.
you go. That's what I was gonna say. It's the same with Superman and Lois. It's the same whenever anybody freaks out about a Disney character or something. It's like so and so is gay, had been revealed to be gay, and it's like no, they're cartoon. Yeah, why are any of them fucking? That's not where I don't know. I'm with you, Throw. Like you're having to then picture the dynamics of Hulk and Black Widow, and I know there are people that's their kink, but
Oh, I mean,
It's
the internet
unnecessary.
exists. I'm sure we
It's
can Google right
unnecessary.
now.
it's
And I don't-
unnecessary to a comic
I don't
book
want to split
storyline.
hairs.
When we were young boys, go ahead.
So I think they're in comic books, it's a little bit different because in comic books we have options. We have the option to have an adult comic book and a general comic book. There are
Or
Batman runs that
relationship is
are
drawn
more violent,
out.
and there are Batman comics where I guess Batman has a fully expressed sexual identity with Catwoman or whoever. But those are generally marketed towards adults. This movie is a Disney movie. There is not another option. You don't get another. You don't get. There's no kids Avengers yet.
Right.
You know, if we had the Young Avengers and a Marvel Avengers movie happening kind of simultaneously, I could say okay to this. Like Deadpool, we see Deadpool's dick in a fight,
Yeah.
and that doesn't bother me because that movie is
there's no
rated
argument
R.
there that it's inappropriate.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just weird
the
because we don't
film.
have the option. You don't have the option to show a kid. It's like having a Star Wars character be like, man, yeah, Chewbacca and Princess Leia, though. Like, whoa, gross,
definitely
man.
inappropriate. Definitely
Like,
that.
Yeah, it's
But-
this to me. It's the same.
Yeah.
So, all right, back in New York, we meet Dr. Cho, who's putting new skin on Hawkeye because she makes synthetic skin.
Chekhov's skin.
Yep, Chekhov's skin.
I think it's cool technology.
It is, yeah.
I
She's
mean,
3D
3D printing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just
Or Chekhov's
steps
cradle,
beyond.
I guess.
Yeah, Tony convinces. Okay, so yeah, Tony and Bruce discover there's an artificial intelligence within the Scepter's gem. Tony convinces Bruce that they should secretly decide to use it to complete his Ultron defense program. I have a question about Tony Stark. How the fuck did he get here from the end of Iron Man 3? I could see how he got here from the end of Avengers, but I don't know how he got here from the end of Iron Man 3.
This
Why
feels
not?
like Joss Whedon did what what's his name? J.J. Abrams did in The Rise of Skywalker. He forgot a movie. He just
He ignored
ignored
it.
No,
large
isn't
parts.
is 3 the one that ends with like all the different versions of the Legionnaires?
Yeah, he blows up
saving
all of his
them?
suits and he retires.
He blows them all up and retires from being Iron Man.
Oh, that was okay.
I would have. So we talked about not getting the band together. It would have been fun to have them need to get Tony, or have Tony create Ultron independently, or something.
Or
You know what? An
craft.
addict would keep one last dose.
Well, and
That's a good point.
But here's the thing: is he already he has his Iron Legion, which are going around. He has Veronica. He's got a lot going on. So he's been very busy in between Iron Man 3 and this movie. And it would have been fine if there had been one line of like, oh, where's Pepper? We aren't getting along so well since I got back into the business. That's all it would have taken. And I would have not thought about it for a second.
Huh. I hadn't noticed it.
Or Maria Hill saying, like, dude, are you going to retire? Because last I talked to Pepper, she's still mad at you.
Yeah,
about this, you know.
His
But,
character.
but we did start off by saying that they've been doing adventures. So yeah, what did happen?
Yeah. At some point he got back into it, and a single line acknowledging that the last time we saw Tony, he was retired, would have been all I needed, because he's Tony. Of course he's going to get back into it. He can't stay retired.
Right.
But it should have been acknowledged in some way.
Interesting point. Yeah, I hadn't thought of it.
So all right. Tony's convinced they need to get Ultron up and running because of the vision he saw because of Wanda, his Wanda vision. They set up the program and let it start running under Jarvis's supervision. There's a big party that night. Falcon and War Machine are there. We get our Stan Lee cameo.
I bet that was Stan's real hat.
I bet it was, yeah.
No joke. Yeah.
Stan Lee said this was his favorite cameo because he had 2 lines, and he said, "Remember that, directors."
And the other cameos that we got, those guys were actual World War II veterans.
Cool.
That's a cool little tie-in thing that I don't know who arranged that, but it's really neat for the line about Omaha Beach. Yeah, neither was Omaha Beach, Blondie.
That's why I meant the hat. Stan served. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a heavy metal thing for an old dude to say.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
I didn't think about the fact that those were like Steve Rogers's like contemporaries.
Yeah.
That's the age he is.
Yeah. So all right.
Did anybody catch the one veteran frozen in place after drinking the drink? He's standing at the bar, just stuck with the glass in his hand.
Bruin Hills Fleet.
So yeah, they after the rest of the guests leave, the Avengers do some Avenger partying. We get the whole can't lift the hammer thing.
Okay, can I point out an inconsistency?
Yeah.
Hawkeye's like What's the deal? It's a trick. Like it starts with Barton, bringing it up. He saw the hammer in New Mexico. He's like, other than Thor and Coulson, he was one of the first people to see the hammer just had fallen from the sky and couldn't move.
So Hawkeye's origins, at least in the Matt Fraction run, he worked in a carnival. So I read that as him being like, this is like a carnival trick. Like there's got to be some sort of gimmick. The bottles are weighted heavy or something.
But he'd already seen it.
Yeah, but I think that it was still a mystery to him. I don't think that anything was answered besides
So your answer to my question is he was just an idiot.
Well, I mean, it's beyond their understanding, kind of thing. But he still
I
doubts.
get it, but so I don't know.
I don't think he
how'd that
believes in
conversation
magic.
get there. Why would they have him say that? It just seems sloppy. I would have had any other Avengers say it. Then it would have been believable. Like after all this time, somebody makes a comment. But the guy who he didn't see it fall, but he was there the next day or what have you. We were to believe he was there the whole time. Shield, checking out the hammer.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, that's interesting. I hadn't thought about that.
Maybe because he's seen it so much.
That's
kind of why it makes sense. Like he's been thinking about it longer than the rest of them. And he's seen so many people try and pick it up.
That also spells he's an idiot.
Well, I think that he's in my mind, the way I always interpret it is he's like, magic's not real. There's got to be some sort of trick, something that makes this work.
Minute. I understand why you would say that. I'm talking about when he said it.
Yeah,
we can move on. So Cap.
So
a little bit.
Yes, cool. The whole the Cap move. That's I love that it's paid off in Endgame. That's love it. That's one of my favorite things about these movies.
Widow is one of the only other characters who ever picks up the hammer in the comics, and she responds by saying, in the comic book she does. She wields the hammer at one point.
Yeah, but she's okay.
Yeah, even though she's a murderer, she's still worthy. I mean, Thor has killed thousands of people.
No, but she's not the only other person to wield it.
But she's one of the few other people to wield it. Yeah, because not everybody, like Tony, could never in a million years wield.
No, he hasn't.
Yeah,
no,
but
he never could.
Cap and Widow and like Hawkeye probably couldn't. But
I mean cinematic. No, but Cap's the only.
Yeah. So, but that was an interesting reference to that. Like she doesn't need to have that answered, but if you've read the comic where she does, she can actually.
So, all right. Meanwhile, in the lab, Ultron comes to life, spends 30 seconds on the internet, and decides humanity must be destroyed.
Can you blame him?
Yeah. Well, it's not a decision. It's the answer to the question, why does Tony want me to exist in the first place? Finds out, peace. Well, what's the problem with peace? Oh, humanity.
Yeah. All right.
So here's your answer.
Yeah,
want some peace?
Yeah. He apparently destroys Jarvis and uses the lab to make himself a body. He attacks the Avengers, takes the scepter, and escapes. The Avengers argue. They're all mad at Tony.
I want to point out that it's. I don't even know if Ultron was going to say anything important, but mid-sentence, Thor destroys him with the hammer.
Yeah.
So, which is a few. In Endgame, he just chops Thanos's fucking head off while they're talking to him.
Yeah, that's kind of Thor's move. Yeah.
Yeah, jumping the gun.
Yeah. At this point, Tony's a jerk. Steve's inspiring. Yada yada. They go to look for Ultron. One thing I noticed is that Cap has almost nothing to do in this movie other than just fight stuff.
Yeah.
This is not a Captain America movie at all.
And I think I forgot to mention it. His flashback looked like he was at that scene in the Overlook Hotel.
Yeah.
Andy pointed something out. Thoreau, do you
remember that? I remember that. That terrible. It was iRobot, wasn't it? I think that's what it was called. She writes the scene where they talk about what Ultron can do within the internet is basically the same dialogue that the Scooby Gang have, in the Buffy episode where Willow gets catfished by an internet demon. Yeah, very much so. This is very much like it's the internet. You can do
Well, that's
anything.
what I was going to say. That's Ultron is not a person. We know that. And he's not even a thing. Yeah. So
Jane. Yeah. Thanks, Andrea. Yeah.
He's only the word's not even electronic. How to put it? Coaxial 5G. He's
he's in the vaccinations.
Yeah, I don't know how to put exactly. He's in the ether, you know.
Yeah, no, he doesn't.
He's not in a place.
But also like the way they describe the internet, like he's in the internet. He's escaped through the internet.
The way they explained it, yeah.
It's a series of tubes.
Hackers levels.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, and then later on, the internet's in a room. It's a big room in Sweden. The internet.
The Nexus. I'll go to the Nexus.
Yeah. So, all right. Ultron meets the twins in Sokovia in a church. He's wearing that. It's kind of a nod to him being the Crimson Cowl.
Mm-hmm.
He has that.
I assume he was wearing a carpet.
Yes.
Yeah, so huge.
That's really big.
Oh, maybe it was a tapestry, an ancient tapestry that was hanging in that church.
Oh yeah.
It just rips it down.
And he just flew up to grab it. It was too high for anybody to get.
Or maybe it's Maybelline.
You got it on Amazon.
Yeah.
This shot, I think, is the most beautiful shot in this entire movie.
That's what I meant with the villain gravitas.
Yeah, it's mysterious. It reveals a lot about his character, and then he's humanized immediately in a funny but weird kind of way. But yeah, that shot of them walking in is great.
Yeah.
He's built a compound underneath the city. He recruits them to help destroy the Avengers. Their parents were killed in a war with weapons created by Stark Industries. This is another example of how Tony should stop putting his name on things. If he just didn't if he wasn't so interested in branding, then a lot of problems could be avoided.
But it was a dramatic story. It was some good writing in that respect, because it could have just been, we were attacked in a war and the weapons were made by Stark. But the sitting there and staring at his name, for many,
2 days.
Good. Yeah, some good drama.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Avengers discover that Ultron and the Maximoff Twins are working together and raiding labs and weapon depots all over the world. He kills Strucker. With a name like Strucker. They figure out that Ultron is after vibranium. We get our first Wakanda name check.
Mm-hmm.
Wakanada, because Banner can't read.
Wakanada.
And then we figure out that the vibranium is being sold by an illicit arms dealer named Claw.
Ulysses Claw.
Who I neglected.
Oh yeah, he is
also from the comics.
I also neglected during the production to mention Andy Serkis, which.
Oh yeah, Jesus, what's wrong with this?
Ulysses Claw, first seen in Fantastic Four number 53 in August of '66.
Yeah. And Andy Serkis is, of course, best known as Gollum. He played Snoke in the sequel trilogy. And
King Kong.
He was King Kong in the King Kong movie, and he was a lot of apes in Planet of the Apes.
Yeah,
Caesar most famously.
And he's great in this. That's a great character.
I always forget that he's so buff.
Yeah.
He is so buff.
Because he does all the movement.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But
when they say mocap, he's the they're capping.
I know it's just a taste of what women have been putting up with for decades, but I'm getting really tired of seeing just random dudes being incredibly buff in TV shows and movies when they're like a stockbroker and they aren't shown working out 4 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways. Like, you don't just be that buff. Like, that's some serious work. Anyways, yeah.
You have to be an actor or a wrestler.
Yeah.
I mean, You really do. You have to. It has to be part of your job to work out that much. A normal person doesn't have the time to work out like that.
To be that buff.
Yeah, to be
you're right.
that buff.
Enough to be healthy and fit.
Yeah,
But
welcome to the club. Thanks, Andrea. I know. Like I said, it's just a small taste of what women have been putting up with for decades. Anyways, let's see. In his hideout in Africa, Claw makes a deal with Ultron for the vibranium. During the deal, the Avengers arrive. There's a fight. Claw loses his arm. Ultron escapes, and Wanda gives all the Avengers terrifying nightmare vision. This includes Banner. Bruce turns into the Hulk and destroys a nearby city. Why didn't Tony help try to clear this city out before
take Hulk outside of the city?
During this whole battle, I was like, why are you not trying to lead the Hulk away from a populated area?
No, they go into a mall instead.
The only time, I would point out, the only time during this entire movie that they actively try to evacuate a city to help the people prior to the battle is when it's a European city.
Right.
Ooh, that's a good point. Yeah. Johannesburg is not worth clearing, maybe.
I guess not. But yeah, he could have gotten him outside, at least further away than he was. But he was right. Yeah,
we see him
battle right there.
Very briefly go like, "Let's get you out of here," and the Hulk punches him back into the city with him attached to him. But still, yeah, that should have been the first move. Is like go and pick up that box that they had him in and throw it somewhere far away.
And also, if you get him mad enough, he'll chase you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Take him to the ocean. It's right there.
Chase you.
Yeah, and
that's why Nat was afraid of him at first. You know, he was chasing her.
It's like an angry dog.
Yeah. So so eventually Tony subdues him in his Hulkbuster armor. The Hulkbuster armor was named Veronica, and according to Joss Whedon, the reason it was named Veronica is because Bruce Banner's girlfriend was named Betty.
Yep.
Betty and Veronica.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. Exactly.
Yeah. No, it's just a cute reference. So he eventually subdues him.
Yeah, I mean, action level, it's a fun scene. Our questions are valid, but the Hulkbuster armor looks cool. It's a fun fight.
I loved the arm delivery.
Yeah.
Yes.
The arm gets knocked off, or he removes the arm to get another one. That was cool.
I do have to say, after watching Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles last week, that it's crazy how much better the action sequences are in this than in that one. Like it's still a bunch of CGI stuff, like flinging around the scene.
Around video game, flinging around.
But this was a lot less tedious and a lot more interesting.
Yeah, compare this to a lot of action sequences and things like Transformers and stuff, where the visual noise is doing a lot. This is very clear and concise. The blocking is important. What the action, like the elevator, where he's like, "Everybody out," and he uses it as a hammer. Like everything is clearly lined up, even if it's not like a train. You know, we're following this fight scene on rails. It all leads from one thing to another.
And the adversaries are clear.
Yeah.
And they have moments, they have pauses. They have pauses where the look is like the Hulk does not like Tony. You know what I mean? Which like the Hulk, who does the Hulk like, but there looks like I'm not your friend. You're not talking to your buddy right now.
We don't get early skirmishes in Marvel movies that are filled with like rage from both characters. You know, it's like we're both so angry, we're just gonna fuck each other up. Like you know, like you get that in a lot of action sequences and other action movies.
That's mostly
and this it's like there's some levity on one side at least, and like levity at the bad guy's expense. Like the Hulk, we're laughing at the Hulk's expense throughout this. But he's clearly very angry. Obviously he's the Hulk, but like
spits out a tooth.
Oh yeah. So all right, so the Avengers are all sad now. They go into hiding as the international community is very angry at the Avengers. I mean, as they should be. They are now war criminals.
You missed our Beats product placement.
That's right. He's listening to beats. Oh man. They go to Hawkeye's house to hide out, where they discover he has a wife and kids. Thor leaves the movie to set up the next movie. To set up Infinity War with Dr. Eric Selvig.
Yeah, which that was weird. I don't know. The cavern.
Well, I don't know if you guys have read about Joss Whedon's complaints about making this movie and how much studio meddling was involved. And the Norn scene, the water, was something that he was forced to add, and the house was the other thing that he was forced to add.
Yeah, the farmhouse. Okay, because these are things that were weird in my mind. Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
They kind of it kind of brings the movie to a screeching halt, and obviously we do want a moment in the middle to regroup and get the whole no way out but through scene, but nonetheless, the
was
movie
that a
just
Swamp Thing reference?
Was that a what?
Was that a Swamp Thing reference?
No. But
there's no way out but through.
No, it's a classic screenwriting trope. Yeah, okay. But yeah,
The Wizard of Oz. That can kind of
you want that moment in the middle to pause and reconnoiter and figure out which way the plot's going.
I just remember Swamp Thing dramatically saying it like to the camera.
Because they were taking that screenwriting trope and just literally saying it to camera.
Yeah,
they're like, we don't know how to do this, but we know we need to.
Yeah. So yeah. At this point, Bruce and Natasha flirt some more. They talk about running away together. Cap chops wood. Cap.
How much wood?
Okay. How much wood could Cap chop?
This is one of my favorite demonstrations of Cap's physical strength. He tears the log in half.
It's casual and
just like he's mad at Tony, and this is him like kind of throwing a little bit of a fit about it, like "fuck you, man." Yeah, there's so much tensile strength in that man's body. I don't know how he gripped the log to tear it in half, but that is really impressive. That and the helicopter.
I imagine his fingers went into the wood.
Yeah,
probably. Yeah.
And again, this is like there's nothing. Cap is just along for the ride in this one. And I think of all the major Avengers, he's the only one that has nothing to do other than fight.
Yeah. Well, and this, as much as Joss Whedon hated making this middle section of the movie, it develops a lot of aspects of these characters. Mm-hmm. Tony saying like, I don't trust anybody without a dark side. And Cap saying like, well, you haven't seen it. It's like, bitch, we know you don't have a dark side.
We know you don't. Yeah.
You aren't even a Boy Scout. You're a Cub Scout. Mm-hmm. Like you're so innocent, but dangerous.
Jude was like, does Cap own any shirts that aren't 2 sizes small?
So glad he did.
Our second product placement,
glad he said that.
Under Armour.
Yeah.
This whole movie was sponsored by, literally, they made Under Armour Avengers gear.
Yeah.
Is that an underwear company?
It's like an athletic wear.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You wear it under your football pads.
Yeah. So
how do I not know?
Yeah. So Tony goes into the barn to fix the tractor.
Hey, dear.
Yeah.
He says to it.
Oh. And Nick Fury is there.
With a great line. That's a great first line. Please don't make it come to life.
Yeah, that is.
About the tractor.
Yeah.
Please don't bring it to life.
This was in my unanswered questions, but how long was Nick Fury in the barn?
That's
just waiting.
And it was Linda Cardellini. She's like, well, we've been wanting you to look at the tractor. Yeah.
That's where he's been living since S.H.I.E.L.D. fell.
It's all a surprise party vibe. Nick, go get in the bar.
I know we talk about future movies too much, but this made me think of Captain Marvel quite a bit.
Mm.
And where they go to the farm in Captain Marvel.
And reflect, yeah.
And it made me wonder, is that where they reverse tied it in to like Hawkeye being like, oh, he did this for me when I joined S.H.I.E.L.D. Like he sees the value of having somewhere that is completely off the books because of his experience in Captain Marvel, retroactively, obviously.
Yeah, but still, it ties together nicely.
Yeah.
So all right, he gives them some encouragement. They decide to go get a plan together to stop Ultron. Ultron, meanwhile, in Seoul, uses Loki's scepter to enslave Helen Cho. They begin to use her cradle and the vibranium and the scepter to create a new body for Ultron, one much younger and hotter. That's my ongoing joke with in episode 3 when Emperor Palpatine says, soon I shall have a new apprentice, one much younger and more powerful. I always feel like he's about to say one much younger and hotter.
Sexier.
So they decide.
Candy.
Yeah.
Count Dooku fucks, man.
Oh, yeah.
That guy. Yeah.
Gross.
What he fucks, I don't know, but he fucks something.
Twi'lek somewhere.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Asajj Ventress, actually, I think.
Oh, God. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
She was his apprentice.
Yeah.
Buttholes?
Those bug things?
How many buttholes does Asajj Ventress have?
Oh, questions I never needed answered or asked.
I don't know what that is, so yeah, I can't say how many.
Anyway, so they decide to take action. Fury takes Bruce back to the Avengers Tower to picks up Maria Hill on the way. He's got a secret plan. Meanwhile, Tony goes to the internet, which is in that room in Sweden, to figure out who's been keeping Ultron from accessing the world's nuclear codes.
And you had made the comment about like, why does he need to go to the middle of the internet? Whatever. Why is the internet in one place? I think he answers that question with the like looking for a needle in a haystack. How do you find it? With a magnet.
With a magnet. Yeah.
He made himself easy to find. I think that was the whole point of that. Was like he could go to a library and do that, but he wanted Ultron to be like, oh, there you are, kind of.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So it wasn't as obvious as it could have been, though.
It was the internet stuff was a little clumsily handled, but it was such a small part of the film. It didn't really make a whole lot of difference.
Yeah. And actually, now that I think about it, he wasn't trying to get Ultron. He was trying to find who he did not know was Jarvis. He was trying to draw out the adversarial character that was holding Ultron at bay.
Yeah, exactly.
Which again, not super obvious.
No, it wasn't. It took the second watch for me to realize that's what was happening. So, all right. So the Avengers figure out what Ultron is up to and go to Seoul. They also don't try to evacuate Seoul.
No,
Thor,
even though they've been explicitly warned that it can destroy the city.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. They only try to evacuate the European city. So Thor and Selvig go to a magic pond for a little while. He figures out the scepter has an infinity stone in it.
Do you think he picked up Selvig and flew him there? Do you think he
on
knew where the
Earth?
cave was?
Is it on Earth? I'm very confused about the cave.
Yeah,
I think it's
confusing.
in England or Europe. So I think that he flew over the ocean to Selvig, who was at whatever institution that he works at as an astronomer.
A university of some sort.
Yeah. Because he works in England in Dark World. So I assume that he went there and then like picked him up by his collar or by his belt and flew him to the cave. But did Selvig know where the cave was? Or did Thor know where the cave was? Because if he knew where the cave was, did he need Selvig? I have so many questions about this scene.
I would have to assume Selvig is necessary for something. Otherwise, like, why is he getting him?
Because Thor can't just go alone. Someone needs to do exposition about why he's there.
I mean, that's why. Yes. So anyways, they're in Seoul. Wanda reads Ultron's mind and discovers he wants to destroy humanity. The twins turn against him. They free Dr. Cho from his mind control Cap, Black Widow, and Hawkeye arrive, and it's a big chase scene through the city. They're trying to get the Ultron body.
I like the chase scene.
It was a good chase scene, yeah.
And I like Ultron becoming annoyed. Just the pest that he's finding Captain America to be. Oh, I love that earlier when he first sees God's righteous soldier.
Yeah,
Thinks he can live without a war.
Yeah,
I loved it. Like finally calling out what we all, it's like finally telling Superman off, sort of.
Yeah,
this is also
you're not the official anything, dude.
This whole chase sequence defies the laws of physics about a dozen times.
Oh yeah, well yes,
many times,
of course,
more than any other movie in the MCU. Just this 10-minute sequence is like
there's a shot where I think it's Cap. I can't remember if it's Cap or Hawkeye. I think it's Cap. Where maybe it is Hawkeye. I don't know. Something happens and he gets shot straight up behind a moving vehicle.
Oh
and
yeah, it's Cap.
It's Cap. He keeps moving forward. While the vehicle is moving forward, that's not
come back down. Yeah.
That is not how momentum works.
Yeah, and not to mention the truck is probably accelerating away at the same time.
Exactly.
And then
not maintaining its current speed.
You get a misogynistic line with the Black Widow,
picking up after
shield.
You boys. Is that the one?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
picking up after you boys.
So why does every line with her have to point out that she is the only girl? Every fucking
she's
line.
somehow separate. You boys.
She could have just as easily said, "Cap, I've got your shield. Quit dropping shit."
Right.
It could have been a little bit and oh, you're always losing this thing.
Look what I found.
Anything that's not
Joss Whedon thinks he is winking to the women in the audience, and they are winking right back. I don't know. I'm not a woman, but to me, I'm like, dude, I can see right through this. This is so tacky.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. They are helped by the newly not evil Romanoff twins. They end up being able to capture the body. The twins help stop the runaway train. Ultron does escape, though, and he takes Natasha prisoner. They all go back to New York, where Tony somehow convinces Bruce to make another sentient robot.
Let's do it one more time.
They do it again.
I love that they are crazy. They're just like, all right, might as well try it.
Mad scientists. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fight fire with fire, I guess.
Yeah. I can totally see Tony. I'm sorry. I was just gonna say I can totally see Tony doing it. Talking Bruce into it was a bit of a stretch, but go ahead.
Well, Bruce is very spineless throughout this whole thing. I have a question about this that I will forget otherwise. In Infinity War, what's her face? Black Panther's little sister, Shuri asks, why didn't you do X, Y, and Z when you were attaching the Infinity Stone, when you were creating Vision? And they went we didn't know how to blah, blah, blah. The answer should have been because we didn't. Ultron did.
Yeah.
That would have been a really cool tie back to this, he's a product of Ultron, at least the physical hardware.
You're
is.
right.
Yeah.
Right. It was a funny line that he said, because we didn't think of it, but you're right.
It would have landed better and had more of the synergy with the rest of the universe. It's like they wanted to forget that
you're right,
and even happened.
Shuri would actually have been aware of Ultron, not just from the news, but Claw stole the vibranium. She knows Claw. Claw has the brand.
Yeah, there's a lot of connections. They literally say the word Wakanda.
They say
So all right. Everyone else comes back. They're mad at Tony for trying to make another killer robot. Just can you stop with the killer robots for 5 minutes, Tony? They pull the plug, but then Thor shows up and Frankenstein's the body, which comes to life. I'm confused by this because they're you have 3 minutes to upload the consciousness into the body. They pull all the plugs. How does sending electricity through it upload the consciousness into the body? It wasn't electricity they were missing necessarily. It was the connection from the computer to upload Jarvis into it.
I think that there's a little bit of magic
I was going
involved
to say
with
that
it.
Just
wasn't
a
necessarily
little
just
touch of pixie
electricity.
dust in the air.
Right.
Yeah.
That was the Mjolnir's
Saint Nick just winked a little
electricity.
bit and twinkled his nose, and then
Yeah, I'm able to forgive it because it allows Thor to be part of the like triumvirate of Avengers who create Vision, you know, plus the body from Ultron. But like, yeah, it is like the electricity. It's like the Matrix. Like, why didn't they just why use bodies again? Like, because ideally,
or some connection between the hammer and the Infinity Stone, or Thor and the stone.
yeah,
yeah,
I mean, sure.
and he
It's
could have said like, I charged him with dark magic. It's not lightning. To what you see as lightning is Odin force or something.
Sure. Okay.
See, Homer, all those wires are why your robot didn't work.
But yeah, but I think that might have been too deep lore wise for people to be like, Odin force. You've never said that in a Thor movie or whatever.
Yeah.
So, all right. Then Vision comes to life. He talks them into trusting him, saying that he wants to help humanity. He's able to lift Mjolnir, and Thor tells them all about the Infinity Stones.
And he's Vision, but he's Jarvis.
Yeah.
They just made a physical Jarvis.
Basically, yeah. But he's also more, because he's...
Of course, yeah.
Clint, meanwhile, is able to discover Natasha's whereabouts in Sokovia. They head there with their main focus being rescuing the people of Sokovia while defeating Ultron. Bruce rescues Natasha, tells her they're going to run away, and never look back. We ain't never going old.
Never, yeah. You and me on the beach. But yeah, she's in a almost Monty Python-esque medieval dungeon.
Right. Yes, she is. Yes, she is.
It's like, put your arm through.
Yeah. So they're not going to help the fight, but C pushes him over a ledge, bringing out the Hulk. This is the scene that makes me feel like I can retcon in my head that she's just handling him.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, she's the horse whisperer, kind of like.
Yeah,
like
turn him on, turn him off.
Yeah, it's the fastest horse in our
stable,
but somebody's got to smack it on the ass every once in a while.
Right.
Yeah.
Who can start it off? Who can shut it down?
Yeah. So Tony confronts Ultron. Ultron has a new vibranium body.
Look at
his summer body. Yeah. It's swimsuit season and Ultron's ready. He's rigged the city with thrusters. His plan being to turn it into a meteor that's going to destroy all life on Earth. The others begin evacuating the city, but then the city begins to fly up into the sky. Vision fights Ultron while the others fight the mini Ultrons and rescue civilians. The Maximoffs help out. Clint has to give Wanda a pep talk. Nick Fury shows up in a helicarrier. A war machine shows up. They begin to evacuate the flying city onto the helicarrier.
Mm-hmm.
Pietro dies when he shields Barton from gunfire.
Bet you didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
I mean, knowing that they had to kill off Pietro makes it make a little more sense, but also like he didn't have to die. He could have grabbed them and kept running. It's the same thing as when like every movie where they push someone out of the way of a bus and they're standing there looking at the bus come towards them instead of like, come on. So this makes Wanda abandon her post, destroying Ultron's main body, which allows one of his drones to activate the machine. The city.
That's my main body. Then I got my side body.
I got side bodies in every town from here to to Cincinnati. So the city starts to fall.
Mom, you put your main finger here. My main
finger? But Stark and Thor overload the machine and blow up the city into tiny meteors, which do less harm. Hulk jumps himself a Quinjet, flies away in stealth mode. Natasha tries to reach him, but he turns off the communications and
So
disappears.
it's like a space age sort of Bill Bixby kind of thing.
Yeah,
He just
it is.
walks away. We
Yeah.
don't see where he's heading.
We didn't mention the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. tie into this, did we?
Yeah, technically Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. ties into this, although they never mention it in the film itself.
Yeah, they spend an entire season pulling that helicarrier out of mothball, and it's the big mystery. And that's how Fury, because there's both a Sam Jackson and a Maria Hill cameo on the show.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but they are Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has officially been retconned as out of the MCU.
Oh.
Feige at this point. I think because they want to, do like Inhumans at some point.
Well, comics do that. Yeah. As
But,
Al pointed out with Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
Change it up when you want to.
Yeah. So Vision confronts the last Ultron body, destroying it with the Mind Stone. Clint returns home to Linda Cardellini. And Tony builds a new Avengers facility in upstate New York. Finally, not in the middle of the city.
Of a populated, yeah.
There, Nick Fury tells Natasha that Bruce disappeared and is unfindable. Apparently, they originally the line was going to be that they last saw his Quinjet somewhere around Saturn, but they didn't want to make it obvious that he was leaving Earth, so they changed it.
Good, because his re-debut or his I lost the word.
Reemergence.
Yes, yeah, it was so surprising and exciting.
It was such a fun reveal. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Well, and it makes me wonder if the Saturn thing is a 2001 reference.
Huh. Yeah.
Because obviously this whole movie is, well, no, AI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Close the pod bay doors,
I evaluated and you're the problem.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. So Tony, Cap, and Thor talk about Vision, deciding to let him keep the Mind Stone. Thor goes back to Asgard to investigate the other Infinity Stones, or so he says. Doesn't ever actually do that. Tony, he kind of got distracted. Tony leaves, presumably to retire. Cap and Natasha begin training the new Avengers, Wanda, Vision, and War Machine, and the Falcon. But then wait, there's more. After the credits roll in the mid-credit sequence, Thanos unveils the Infinity Gauntlet and declares he's going to go find the Infinity Stones himself.
Yep. Yeah, I wish they hadn't killed Ultron. I know it would have been a lot to have Ultron face Thanos in some way, but as a comic book nerd, I would have loved it.
I would have loved for him to be part of the solution to Thanos.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
I just love to see more James Spader as Ultron.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would have just seen him again.
So that's it. Most of my unanswered questions we kind of went over already. It's a flawed movie. Very, very flawed, but I think it's not as bad as it's generally made out to be.
I like I said, I think it's a great villain. I think it's a great introduction of a villain. I think it's a great arc of a villain. And so for reasons like that. But there are definitely points where Joss Whedon is lazy or tired, whatever the deal is. Definitely has its problems, but Ultron's exciting. The Chitauri did very little for me.
One of the things that always bothered me were the robot lips.
Yeah. They move like real lips?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did. I don't think I had thought about that.
They curl and he sneers.
Yeah. Instead of just up and down robot mouth.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand.
Or a Jeff Dunham creation.
I understand the decision behind doing that, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think this has the first real interesting philosophical moment in the movies, talking about the fate of humanity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we don't really get a lot of deep anything in Thor or in Cap. I mean, we get Winter Soldier-y, like, oh, it turns out that the good guys have been harboring bad guys. But when they talk about when Vision and Ultron are discussing humanity from an outside perspective, it is so interesting to watch.
Yeah, there's grace in their failure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, one of the best Vision lines ever. You're hopelessly naive. And he responds, well, I was born yesterday.
Yes.
I was born yesterday.
Like, so pleasant of a dude. I think this movie's aged better with context, all but the dialogue and Black Widow's characterization. The further we get into realizing that like women have been poorly cast in a lot of movies and written in a lot of movies. Yeah,
well, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah,
as far as philosophical, Ultron saying to Thor, even like, I think you're confusing peace with quiet. You know, you just don't want any problems. Problems exist, and so that's where he's coming from as far as evolution. You know, like, you're not totally a waste, but you're not there yet. Whereas Thanos is vague, like, I just want to bring balance. You know, half, just very easy to understand. where Ultron says, yeah, you know, like, this is for you, and I'm going to use this cradle to see if we can do something organic and technological, but if not, it's time to move on. Human beings they're just destroying themselves.
Yeah, it's an otherworldly ideology.
But you're going to kill the Avengers. Yeah, and also that.
Yeah, that too.
I love his delivery
So
of that in the
villainy.
church.
No, please allow me to take the time to tell you my evil plan.
And then, but then later on, he kind of does take his time to tell them his evil plan. So, yeah.
Yeah, that was...
All right, guys, you ready to rank this thing?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
All right, here we go on our big list. The first Avengers is at number 1. I would be hard pressed to put it anywhere that close to the top personally, but let's.
No, I wouldn't.
No way. Yeah.
I see.
Let's see. We've got Iron Man at number 3, Guardians at number 5, First Avenger at number 9, Winter Soldier was number 4, X-Men Days of Future Past is 11, Iron Man 3 is 12.
That's kind of where I'm thinking.
That's kind of where I'm thinking.
I don't think this is better than X-Men Days of Future Past.
No, but I think it's better than Iron Man 3.
I agree with that.
Okay.
I can concur.
You can concur. So we want to go ahead and just stick it in at number 12.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. Avengers, The Age of Ultron, going in at number 12. Which means we are done with this week's, and we are going to be looking forward to next week's episode, which is going to be yet another return to the MCU. We'll be watching Ant-Man.
Awesome. Our next Avengers movie is going to be Infinity War.
I know. There's not. Yeah. Well, I mean, let's face it. I mean, Civil War is Avengers 2.5.
Yeah. All right, Ant-Man. Paul Rudd, the ageless Paul Rudd.
World's sexiest man.
Jude watched Clueless the other day, and he was like, "Who's that guy that looks like Paul Rudd?" I was like, "That's Paul Rudd."
And he's already 30, something like that.
Yeah, so all right, that's it next week. Thank you everybody for hanging out with us on the Harmless Phosphorescence. This has been your host, Throw Smiley, and it's time for me to go escape through the internet.
I'm Josh CC, and I can't physically throw up in my mouth.
I am Smaller Agent Brian Lesh. Thanks for coming to my farmhouse.
Unfortunately, I'm still Alaric Weber.
Aw.
There's
Thanks,
still
everyone.
time, Al.
Yeah.
Keep assembling.
We'll see you next week, everyone. Bye.
Bye.